As you can see at this point in the recording, I had to rescale everything and make sure my model was popped up and everything because I forgot to enable them. The blue that and fading that just happened there was was it loading my character into a dungeon, and I started with the knight because I didn't see the stalkers category that allowed me to switch it. Of course, the game disappearing there was when I went and opened the model itself. And this is the loading screen. As always, the little snow particle is um, is part of my overlay. I might end up having to lower that later, but as you can see, we're in combat now. We're in the dungeon now. Um, this is my team for this session. Um, we're gonna walk through the dungeon and fight things as we go. Of course, I accidentally hit my teammate in the process of killing that creature. And of course, as we go through, I go to loot the chest as well. Unfortunately, the team had already grabbed everything. I don't manage to get anything from that, but it doesn't matter because none of that armor was even wearable by my character. All this time, there is a way to gain access to um, light that I don't realize because I never tried pressing the button that would give me light. Of course. I noticed a chest, and I go to open it and realize I can't use anything in the chest except for the mace, which I check based up compared to my weapon and realize that's not compatible. I then try to show the teammates to the chest, but they ignore it. They both seem to ignore it. The other knight gets downed. And then we have a lag break. A rubber banding moment that just happens to the rogue. And then I have trouble killing the creature that is attacking the rogue until after I manage to get between the rogue and the creature. And apparently you can block the movement of the creature of a specific enemy. I believe the enemy that I'm fighting is a ghoul, specifically. At that moment, I loot it, and of course the rogue takes the dagger, and it does appear that the rogue finally notices the chest. And then I realized that I can loot my teammate's inventory, and at the time I didn't realize it was the teammate's inventory at first. I thought it was the barrel that I broke, that I was looting. It was only right there that I realized that I could loot that it was where my teammate died that I was looting. So we move on. I walk out with my shield out. My rogue teammate there accidentally catches me and the enemy on fire. And so for a little bit I take burning damage. I find a chest that I get to loot myself. Unfortunately, it's again stuff I can't use. Um, as we progress through the dungeon, I continue looking around just to make sure that there are no enemies. I open the door. Um, and all the while, I'm not fully paying attention to the witch's curse in the top left. Not fully paying attention to the curse. So while I'm fighting at least one enemy, the curse will kick off. But that's not happening for a little bit because there's still a timer that we have to wait on. In the left underneath the mini map. And of course, the rogue showed up, helped me take out this enemy. I took the helmet and continued going with my shield out. That thing was already dead, as was that. And here is the curse that I was not prepared for. And as I stated, I didn't realize until after this happened. Until today, actually. Because I'm doing the voiceover part of this the next day. That, there was light. I also realized that my teammate has recovery time, almost leaving them to die, barely making it in time to recover them. This campaign almost became so dark. This specific run almost became so dark that I was gonna end up. You were gonna end up not being able to see half the time. I double check the knight that I killed, the skeletal knight that almost killed me, that hit me twice. And then I look around, and as you can see, it is very dark without without the knowledge that you have access, that the player has access to a light. That Z key down there, I learned today while doing the voice, before I started the voiceover that we're doing now, that Z key that I didn't notice is actually the light button. Um, so I walk through the darkness, get struck once, manage to kill the skeleton. I think at this point my teammate died. And I realized that here. So we're nearing the point where the run actually ends. I gain access to an invisibility potion. They go ahead and take their stuff. Of course, taking the better weapon, the better chest plate, and taking the materials. specifically little red eye looking thing. Then I wandered to the next door. Managed to light a torch only to get um killed. So the red ants. Um that's when I noticed the Stalkers tab. And I test out Knave the Mage on my next run. This is the lobby, of course. Which I barely got to see during that run. So far, out of the three I've tried, I think I like the mage the best, by the way. I find a chest to loot. Of course, I test out the shielding. And I smack. I don't realize at first that I have abilities. Then I notice the fireball ability, which I launch. I try using the ability while blocking and realize I can't. And then while the skeleton is distracted, I queue up another fireball and take out the skeleton. While the hunter that's next to me is looking at the chest, I take a look as well. I, of course, take the staff. The better staff. I also look into looting and ignore that weapon. I hear them until after I hear them drop it back on the ground. Pick it up. Queue up another ability. Loot the next creature. Put on the equipment. Take the vase. If I recall, this specific run, the one run that I encountered the player versus player aspect of the campaign. Of course, I take out an enemy with a fireball, queue up another one. Start getting smacked point blank. Queue up yet another fireball. As we continue to walk, I fire it out just to make sure, just to see. Realize I don't have enough mana to cast fireball. So I queue up the other ability to see what it's like. Get hit from the side by a bat. Looting some more. Notice the new staff is stronger. If I recall correctly. No, I don't realize it's stronger. I think. I definitely end up switching my staff at least one other time, if I recall correctly. But for now, we're just currently optimizing everything. I swing to try to tell them that there's something interesting. As I was saying, I swing to try to tell them there's some interesting stuff in the bat. pull it out into my inventory and drop it for them instead. This is about where we start into. This is about where we have the incident with the player aspect of things, if I recall. Shortly after this enemy gets killed, I queue up the secondary set of abilities, toss out the bow to try to tell them about it, and then accidentally cast my spell at the bow, which they actually notice, pick up, and then throw back down. And then I try to tell the other hunter about the bow. Queue up one of the spells. Interestingly enough, the Q spell. And we take out the enemy. I look at the loot and ignore the copper ingot for whatever reason. Not that it matters, because I didn't end up surviving any of the runs. I did. At all. Unfortunately. But yeah. It's definitely this run with the two hunters that we end up getting killed by the other players. So, I make it through the fire, notice a chest, and loot it. Or ignore it, depending on whether or not the armor is better. Right around here, if I recall, is where we see the other players. At some point, while I'm looking around, I let the one of the hunters go ahead of me, check on the other hunter, see if there's anything been left in the chest, and of course there's not. So I go to see what the hunters are fighting, and this is where I discover that they were fighting other players. I queue up a spell and get snuck up on by one of the other knights. One of the other knight player. I hide behind the hunters and get them up. And of course, we get them up and we run. Hunter, unfortunately, the first one dies. Right there. And while I'm doing this, I queue up a spell, fire it, and get out. And die. And of course, while we're doing that, our other hunter does very well, actually, against two people. Comparatively. Like, better than I would have expected. Well. So for a couple seconds, I spectate the regular gameplay. after they'd killed us. Get confused even more by the fact that even that person has light. And that person. And of course, I leave to the menu. We are almost at the halfway point of the recording. At this point, so we have me trying out the rogue. I believe this is where I switched to the rogue. All the while that I'm doing this recording quietly, I'm of course I am doing the recording with my mic off so that I can do the voiceover thing today. And all the while I'm doing that, I'm of course watching YouTube, which is why I wanted to do it this way. Is since it wasn't the stream day, I wanted to do I wanted to be able to do my normal routine. I mean, since it was after stream, rather, I wanted to do my normal routine. But yeah, if I'm right, this will be the next time. Yeah, I selected the rogue and then double checked to make sure it was actually active. Went back to the dungeon and queued up. I didn't realize you could solo queue either until near the end, by the way. So we get into the campaign, into the lobby. Of course, I realized while we were loading into the lobby, unfortunately, that we had a raider. I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, and like 2 rogues. So we have just a little casual. Oh no, this was the mage. Chukela there was my teammate. That was my mage teammate. So yeah, we go into the combat. Of course, I'm watching the loading screen. I help fight the creature. I like the concept of the throwing knife. I double checked to make sure we didn't lose anything right there. Unfortunately, while you have the throwing knife queued, you're slow. Yeah. I upgrade my weapon and put the other one in my offhand. If I recall, this one is the one where we die. Not too much longer after this. actually. We'll take out the skeleton, of course, dilute it, but don't actually get the item because they actually loot it faster. Our mage notices a mimic, which we take out. And this I actually get something, if I recall correctly. Yeah. I take the helmet, and then they take the other things. Our mage opens the gate. We go in. I wait for the mage. I prep in case the chest the mage is looting there is a mimic. Learn it, it's not. And then check the loot as well. Don't get it. It seems to be a common trend that they'll take it before me. I follow the mage around for a couple seconds. This is about where we end up dying. That thing that I just hit ends up killing me. The thing I'm fighting there ends up killing me. While I'm fighting it. And the mage just surprised me well by, if I recall, I think that she managed to kill it. I mean, we'll have to see, of course. Right now, the mage is obviously trying to get a better angle. And this is where I find out that the mage can shoot through doors. While the enemies can't. So you can see that the mage is trying to get a beat on the enemy and struggling. So the mage jumps down. Uses the V ability. And takes out a lot of these creatures. We're now beyond the halfway mark of the stream. Of the recording, rather. Mage, of course, had pots that she brought with her that I didn't know about until today. But basically, you can start with pots, with potions. Mage starts to try to open the door to get out of the room, only to get chased away from the door. And she looks at my loot, but then gets chased away from my body. We die. Or rather, the mage dies. I exit the menu, and I decide I don't necessarily like playing. And of course, as I said, we went back to the menu, and this is where I decide I didn't like the rogue. So I swapped back to one of either the Knight or Knave. I think I went with Knave for the next run. I looked at what this was about, and as I was seeing, unfortunately for me, most of this stuff requires me to... all of this stuff requires me to have potentially beaten a round. So, unfortunately, that stuff was not available. So I queued up again. And we wound up with our beloved mage friend from last round. Unfortunately, we have 2 mages and a rogue in this round. That's a little concerning. Of course, as always, there's the lobby and everyone's attacking each other just to mess around. And now we go into the battle. If I recall, we do fairly well this run. We still all end up dying, of course, but we do fairly well. Chelka there, our beloved mage friend from last run, survives the longest during this run. Now, I queue up at Fireball, of course. So we go down, and I've queued up my Fireball. I make sure everyone's ready to go. Chelka chooses a different direction, so I follow after her instead. I managed to miss her in the process of taking out the enemy. Queue up my second Fireball for the run. Interestingly enough, the benefit of using the magic is I do have a light source during this. Yeah. So I queue up the other spell. Even though I don't know how to use the regular light, I can use the other spell as a light. The spells as a light. So that's the benefit of being the mage. I do plan on streaming this on my Twitch tomorrow, of course. I already have plans for today. The day I'm doing the recording. So tomorrow we'll do this, and then I have plans for Thursday on YouTube's end of things. But yeah, no, so as I said, we're doing surprisingly well this time around. I get attacked by an enemy and have to kill it. They push the body of said enemy aside, so while I'm looting, and I get some gloves. Unfortunately, if what you're looting gets moved, it does interfere with your looting. I accidentally hit the rogue and look away in shame. Because I fired my spell at the wrong time. But yeah, my spells give off light, so I'm kind of grateful for that part. I try to get past the rogue, but the rogue is blocking my way. Of course, we go through. I follow behind. The rogue falls down. I followed Chelka down. And I try attacking the enemy from above. But by the time I go to fire, it's already ready. So we find a bat, which I keep missing. We follow Chelka. Managed to hit the skeleton. He decides to go after me first, but gets killed in the process. And again, we follow Chelka, who decides to go past me. So we go through that area instead. I open the door. go through, start to interact with the things and get that. I loot the little thing that attacked me, getting a better armor. Tossing out the armor to try to give it to them. And no one touches that armor. I take the bow just because. We don't need it, but you know, might as well. We do the thing. I try to show them the armor, but it looks like they didn't want it. So we follow. I queue up a spell. I was surprised at how little player versus player aspects of the PvP happened during this stuff. Of course, it doesn't happen, but it's just like very small and far in between. Surprisingly, I queue up more spell. Check the opposite direction real quick, make sure there's nothing there, and then wait for Chalka to open the door. We go through. Interestingly enough, we got lucky. But yeah, so I take advantage of the thing I learned from Chalka before, which is you can fire through the door and stuff. We kill off the thing. I accidentally hit the rogue and have to revive them. I don't know exactly what actually dealt damage to me before I revived the rogue, because I'm pretty sure all the enemies were dead at the time. And of course, we are getting the curse that we keep getting is the enemies being weakened instead of having to worry about them much. So while I wait, I loot the body, I take the gemstones. Not that that'll ever end up mattering. As again, like other games of this style, when you die, you lose. So, yeah. There's no way to re-obtain the loot though, either. I believe that I specifically ended up dying to a skeleton this run. Nothing of use to me, so I just let it go. Yeah, I believe I specifically ended up dead to a skeleton this run. I didn't notice the rogue had actually left the game. But not only is their health bar not there, their health bar empty, but they've actually left. I did not notice that. So you got me trying to use my magic. Focus thing that the armor break thing that seems to exist that changes your outfit and gives you faster recharge for your mana. I check the loot, nothing of use, and so we move on. So Chalka activates that thing while I'm looting this one, if I recall correctly. None of this looting ends up actually mattering. sadly. But, like, on the chance that you win, you should always loot. On the chance that you're gonna win, you should always loot. I kill a skeleton thing. This is not the one that kills me, by the way. In fact, I almost killed this one by myself. I took like 3 extra shots from Cholchelka to kill it. No loot of use. I shield up to recharge so I can queue up the spell real quick. Queue up the spell. Open the door. Shield just charge up mana some more. This is the chamber that I die in. I accidentally get poisoned during looting because the cloud moves back and takes some damage. But this isn't how I die. This is the chamber I die in, though, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because I go up the stairs. I die from something. So yeah, I loot. I double check the defense. And then I jump on the table. And this is where I decide, after queuing up my ability, that I'm gonna go up the stairs. I go up the stairs. I open the door. The enemy that kills me isn't even one that is that strong. It kills me while I'm opening the door. Unfortunately for me. So I spectate Cholchelka, who is running the opposite direction from where I went. I don't think she realized yet that I had died. She might have, though, to be fair. But yeah, so we run through, there's about 4 more minutes left in my recording, of course. So after this is like the last round that I run. I believe I tried to do an assassination run, but failed after this. So Cholchelka finally finds the area that I died in, and this is where she dies, if I recall. I noticed, and told Risha about it, that there's like a storm type thing, like in common battle royales, where if you get caught in it, you die. There's some kind of like circle that's closing. I think Cholchelka dies here in a couple. She's just like casually running past all the enemies, which is what I think kills her in the long run. There's all the enemies she's ignoring because it makes it harder for her to open stuff. And I think right around here is where she ends up dying. It looks like she's just messing around now. Yeah. Alright, so then we have this. So then we have this thing where after Cholchelka dies, I decide to look around the menu. At first, I consider swapping around to doing other stuff. I, of course, at this point, just kind of mess around a bit with the menu, trying to decide what to try. I queue up as one of the things, but it doesn't seem to work. And that's when I decide to change who I am queuing up as to try the... Of course, I look at the shop and stuff first. But no, I try to sell a weapon while looking at this. I try to sell the armor of my character while looking at the shop. Then I decide while it's not letting me queue up properly, but I'm gonna swap back over and I do assassination. And it gives me a person, but then I decide that I'm gonna change the character I queue up as, and so it boots me from the queue. So I have to re-queue up. I wanted to try out Hunter. The Hunter class. It puts me in the same queue as before. And countdown fails. So I decide, because the countdown fails, I try again and nothing happens. So I click on the thing, disable random matchmaking, stay on assassination, and try again. So the countdown runs, it actually succeeds, and unfortunately for me, my screen goes black. So I just sit there trying to decide what to do because my screen has gone black. So for a good minute and a half or so of recording, we just sit here. Probably closer to a minute. Because there is a point where, as we get closer to the ending of the recording, I close out the game and go to my ending soon screen. But I'll end up changing I might change the opacity of the snow a bit to go down a bit. Because again, my lore is that I am in a snow globe, so the whole reason that the snow is always there is that we're supposed to be looking in through a snow globe at my winter shrine.